We're going to take a look now at some of the tools on the bottom half of the Pixlr tools, starting with the blur tool over here, which looks like a little water droplet. Notice the keyboard shortcut for that is R. Now, the last few tools here have companion tools. So next to blur is sharpen. Below that is smudge and sponge. So these are each tools that are useful in their own way. So blur, pretty obvious what that's going to do. If I go up to the brush here, I can see that I can change the size of my brush and the strength of the blur, which for me is already at 100. Now, if I just start drawing across the dog here with blur, you'll see that the image starts to get gradually blurrier. Okay, so not an awesome tool depending on when you're going to use it. If you wanted to add blur to something, you tend to want to have a reason for it. Now, in order to do this next step, I'm actually going to hide this layer over here, and I'm going to do that by clicking the little check mark here. And the layer's still there, I just can't see it anymore. Okay, you can see the dog head is clearly still there. And then I want to affect the doll's head. So I'm going to click on doll here, and now I'm going to be blurring out the doll's head. Now I'm going to zoom in, okay, and just kind of blur out those eyes a little bit. I'll use these later on, okay, and then zoom back out. And I'm going to use the marquee tool here to select the doll's eyes and copy and then paste. Now, I'm going to move this layer up, rename it eyes, okay, and put that layer on top of the dog's head. You don't notice the difference because the dog's head is still hidden. Now I click the little checkbox again, and the dog's head is back. Take these eyes, and I'm going to move them up on top of the dog's head there, okay? And now you can see both set of eyes. I can use the eraser here, zoom in, and erase this area here, okay, and around there. Not perfect, but you get the idea. Could definitely do a better job than that. And now I've given the dog the doll's eyes. Okay, and if I want to try to make that look a little bit more like it belongs with the dog, then I'm going to go back to blur and just start to blur some of these sharper edges here. That's really what I use blur for, is working around sharp edges that are already there to try to make something blend. And now, honestly, if you back out of that, you might not know that those were originally the doll's eyes. Sharpen does essentially the exact same thing as blur. So if I click on sharpen and I click on this blurry part of the image here, the dog's hair, it's meant to take different parts. You know what? It's not doing anything right now because I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. It's meant to take parts of an image that don't really stand out and give them more contrast based on what is surrounding it. Now, you might notice that this is just increasing the level of light that's appearing on the dog's hair, and that's because that's where the contrast is. Okay, if I try to add some sharpening down here, you're not really going to see it. Actually, that worked out pretty well. Okay, now if you do too much, you're going to end up with this type of effect, so you might want to undo. See how bad that ended up looking because I clicked too many times? It actually removes a lot of the pixels. So I'm going to undo that and get it back to a decent looking spot. So there is your blur and sharpen. Also, don't forget that you can hide layers, okay? And using the eraser tool to erase things that you've already added, and you can move your layers around as well. So enjoy using the blur and sharpen, but remember, don't use them too much.